we have the Miyoo A30, and it comes in this lovely case. This was sent to us from our friends at Go Game Geek, and if you buy this from Go Game Geek and use code RH15, not only will you get 15% off, you'll get the case for free. How about that? I talked to our sales contact. I said, look, people really don't want the Miyoo A30. Until the advent of MinUI, which this video is about, it's just not great. It's underpowered, underwhelming, just not great. And so our contact said, you know what? Let's just throw in a case for free. I said, okay. So if you want to get it, consider getting it from Go Game Geek, and you'll get a free case. Case isn't bad. It has a pocket for all your accessories and stuff, and of course, the handheld itself. I opted for this beautiful, and it is beautiful, the beautiful Famicom color scheme. I really like it. It seems fake, but it's authentic in that the original controller seemed kind of fake. It mimics the fake gold of the original controller, and it's a very compact handheld. The buttons are pretty nice. The stick is very, very recessed. It's extremely pocketable. The stick sticks up, I don't even know if it's higher than the D-pad. It's probably the same height. It might be a skosh higher than the D-pad in the middle, but otherwise it's not jutting up and getting in your way. You have your select, your start, your D-pad, good quality. You have your one SD card on the bottom. You have your inline shoulder buttons. They're all very quiet. You have your home button. You have your volume. You have power on this side, nothing on this side, and no headphone jack. You notice there's no headphone jack, but it does come with a USB-C to 3.5 adapter. So look at that. Now I can listen to my jams, but on top with a really, really weird adapter sticking out. Oh, God. Now in our previous video on the channel, we went over stock OS, and it's not good. I took this with me to the beach, and this has Wi-Fi, and couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work. I couldn't get retro achievements to work. Stock OS is ugh. And this even shipped with the stock OS that our friend Jim Gray tweaked a little bit. Not full Onion OS, but tweaked stock, and it's still not, it's just not good. So I held off until MinUI was stable, and so we're gonna go install MinUI. Super easy. You take the SD card out, you go to the GitHub, you just drop a couple folders in a zip file, you drag all your ROMs from the stock card to their corresponding folders that you copied over, and then you plug it back in. Let's take this to the computer and do all the installation stuff. So your first step is gonna go to GitHub. You're gonna find MinUI on GitHub. You're gonna find the most recent release, and you're gonna scroll down to the assets. I'm gonna download base, and I'm gonna download extras. You only really need base. Extras, has extras. We're gonna use a couple emulators from extras. So you're gonna extract these. You got your base folder. You got your extras folder. It's gonna take a little longer. Come on, almost there. And then you can just delete these zip files. You don't need them anymore. In the base folder, you're gonna wanna copy minui.zip and the Miyoo folder. Just copy them. Copy them to the root of the SD card. Mine's E, yours could be anything. Paste. Easy peasy. Now when it asks you if you want to replace, make sure to replace. This is important. If you don't replace, you're not going to install MinUI. So your next step is going to be to select ROMs, saves, and BIOS. Copy those over to your E drive, or whatever it's called, the root of the SD card. There they go. Now this part's easy. You just get the BIOS files that were already on the card and copy them into your new BIOS folder. So Nintendo goes into FC, GB BIOS goes into GB, GBA, you got GBA BIOS, Game Boy Color, GBC, do you see the pattern? MD, you got BIOS CD, E, J, and U. All three of them go in there. For PlayStation, you have this P blah 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 .bin. And then for Super Famicom, what? There's nothing there. There's no BIOS for that one. Next, you're gonna go to ROMs, and you're gonna copy over all the ROMs you already have into the folders. So here I have my ROMs in GB. These are the Game Boy ROMs that came with the card, so I'm just gonna copy them into Game Boy GB. And you're gonna wanna do this, as this copies, for all of the folders you copied over. So let's scroll through here. All our Game Boy ROMs are in there. Let's back out. And you see Game Boy Advance. You see Game Boy Color. You see Nintendo Entertainment System, Sega Genesis, PlayStation, and Super Nintendo. You're going to want to copy all those over. If you want more systems, go to that extra thing I had you download and copy Neo Geo, TurboGrafx, and Game Gear. Copy them over into your ROMs folder, and the same thing. So for TurboGrafx, let's go to PCE, select all these, cut, and copy into the TurboGrafx folder. Just rinse and repeat for any systems you want to copy over to MinUI. All right, and we're back. So we get that in there, and you simply power it on. And if all goes well, we will see a MinUI installing graphic. Oh, Miyoo got a blue light. Yes. It always starts off very dark whenever I do a MinUI install. So you got to use the shortcut. Wait. Oh, the shortcut on this is home button plus volume. There you go. Get that nice and bright. And you have all your folders that you copied over. Now MinUI on here by nature is minimalistic. So you're not going to have a crazy amount of overhead or features. It's just you turn this on, you play your games, and then you turn it off. Or you just press the power button and put it to sleep. It's very much pick up and play. That is the essence of MinUI. Let's see those games transferred over. Yep, this is all the games that came with stock. You can always get a brand new SD card, and the instructions for that are going to be on our corresponding website article. But I'm kind of lazy, and I thought, you know what would be easy? Just copying over some folders onto the stock card. Let's try some Game Boy Advance on here.
Let the wars begin.
Whoa! Now with MinUI, you're going to press your home button on top, and you're going to go into your menu. You can continue, save, load, and options. That's it. It's super bare bones, and it's like that on purpose. You can go to your options and change your front end, screen scaling, screen sharpness, CPU speed, thread core, debug HUD, which lets you show frames per second. Let's turn that on just for fun. And for all you people out there that want to play Pokemans or RPGs real fast, you can set your max fast forward speed. This lets you play at fast forward without going at like 15 speed where everything's and you can't control it. Can't go into doors. You can barely even press buttons in combat. I like to set mine to 4, sometimes 3, depending on the game. That lets me power through RPGs or other games where it's not very precise button inputs. Any kind of menu game, you can zoom through at this. You can change your emulator options. You can pick which BIOS you want. The boot mode. There's not much difference in this. It even says there's not much difference in either mode. Boot to the game or boot to the BIOS. Frame skip, color correction, blending, dynamic recompiler, all sorts of stuff if you really want to get into the weeds. You can remap controls if you want. Now this is helpful like for Game Boy Advance where you have B and A, and maybe you want an A turbo button. So the A turbo is going to be X, and the B turbo is going to be Y, just a little bit above the existing one. Shortcuts is important because if you want to fast forward, here's where you set your key. So if you want to toggle it, you can set menu plus R2. And say I want my save state to be menu plus R1, and my load state to be menu, oh god. Load state's going to be menu plus L1. And then you can save your changes. You can save them across the entire console or just for this specific game. Let's save it for the console. My only problem, and it's not with MUI, it's with the physical layout of the A30. So if the menu button is going to be your hotkey, that's fine for these buttons on the right. But for the left, you have to move your whole hand over and press it. I think it'd be better if I could set this single joystick as my hotkey and then pivot, but you can't. It's not an option. At least not that I see. Another disadvantage of MinUI on here is that this has a Wi-Fi chip. And with MinUI, you're not really taking advantage of it. You're not taking advantage of it at all because you can't do retro achievements. You can't do anything that involves Wi-Fi. So you're effectively negating the positive of this having a Wi-Fi chip. That being said, my stock experience, the Wi-Fi barely worked anyway, so... Now, Wi-Fi is available right now on the RGB30, and I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's the only handheld that has Wi-Fi. So maybe at some point in the future, our buddy Sean Inman will add Wi-Fi for this, but for now, you just have to kind of Take the good with the bad. And like I said, Wi-Fi on stock isn't great anyway, so you're not losing as much as you might think. Where'd you go, you little stink? Noob Sabot 1? How about that? So one of the downfalls to switching to MinUI is that you are limiting yourself to the consoles that MinUI supports. So the big one, especially with this analog stick, you'd be losing N64. So it's kind of a compromise. Do you want a super sleek, super fast, super minimalistic, look, sleep mode, turned it off for me. I'm not wasting a single watt of power if I can help it with this. Or you go with the flawed stock operating system, but have access to more emulators and more systems like N64. So it's really up to you and your particular use case. I, for one, am going to stick with MinUI on here until maybe they come out with a completely revamped version of Onion OS. One of the things that I learned from the awkward and delayed launch, and then just this like weird, drawn out first couple months of the Miyoo A30, is that I think Onion OS really saved their bacon back in the day, and we just didn't realize it as much as we do now. Without a rock solid operating system, this thing is just forgettable. I mean, it's super cheap now. You can get it for 30 to 40 bucks on AliExpress or a variety of different storefronts. You can get it for a hair more on GoGameGeek, but they will send you this cool case if you use RH15 as your checkout code. But yeah, the handheld itself is kind of an enigma, kind of a confusing situation all around. But I think if you want something very minimalistic, very sleek, very portable, very set it and forget it, like the Dial-O-Matic or the Pocket Fisherman, then I think MinUI might be your best bet on here. Well, Gary, it's time for What Did We Learn? And we've learned that the Miyoo A30 is a flawed handheld, especially when it first came out. It was very flawed. It came out right at the same time as the RG28XX, and outside of Wi-Fi, I think the 28XX just beat it in every single category, outside of this cool Famicom color scheme, I guess. And we've been waiting for an Onion OS or a custom firmware that would bring this up, elevate it from the dregs that it finds itself in. And we have it in MinUI. The only problem is, since MinUI is specifically designed to be minimalistic, you're losing some of the features that make the A30 unique. So you lose your Wi-Fi, you lose some of the consoles you might want to play on here, and it's really a compromise. Now, maybe you don't want to compromise. Maybe you said, dag nabbit, I want this to play N64 and I want my Wi-Fi to work. And I'm here to tell you, you can't have that right now, which sucks, because I thought this was going to be good. What I can tell you, however, is that MinUI will turn the A30 into one of the most pocketable, sleek, just everyday carry kind of handhelds you're ever going to have. You watch, you press the dang power button, it goes to sleep, you throw it in your pocket, and you forget about it. I have MinUI on one of my many RG35XXs, because they, sent me like 7. I have it on my GKD Pixel, and I have it on my Miyoo Mini A30 now. And I will say that even if you're kind of hesitant of, oh geez, I don't know if taking away N64, give it a shot. It's definitely one of those custom firmwares that makes this into a more purpose-built, a focused handheld. You put MinUI on here, it is now your throw it in your bag or throw it in your car. A couple hours later, you're at work or you're really fed up with the person you're on a road trip with. You just press that button and whoop, wowie kazowie, Sonic is there. He lost all the Chaos Crystals and Knuckles has fooled him. Dang it, Knuckles, you jerk. So that's it. I tried to make the review pretty short and sweet. I showed you how to install MinUI. I showed you some of the advantages it has. And honestly, if you have an A30 and you're not playing it as much as you thought you would, what's the worst that could happen if you put MinUI on here and give it a shot? Maybe you will use the handheld more. Maybe you're looking for something that you can just kind of turn off and on and throw in a bag and not worry about it. You scratch the screen. Oh crap, I only paid $30 for it. No big deal. Then maybe get an A30, throw MinUI on there, and just have it as your backpack handheld. Put your Pokemans on here. Put some of your favorite Game Boy Advance games on here, and just play whenever you get the chance. Worst case scenario, the battery runs out. It doesn't have a big battery anyway. It's just 2600 mAh. Charge it for a half hour, you're good to go again. So anyway, thanks for sticking with me on this video. Thanks for sticking with me on 100 videos. I hope you like these 100 videos. Stick around for the next 100 videos. Hopefully I don't get canceled. I don't think I do too much that's cancel worthy, but you never know. Maybe I'll scream some sort of horrible slur at Stubbs in a podcast. You never know. So if you want to see that, or you want to see just regular reviews, stick around, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Look, Sonic, he's saying do it. You better do it. Wink, wink. You better subscribe to Zoo.